What's up, good people? Welcome into Montgomery Company. It's your girl, Renee. Listen, we got a good conversation today. Bubba Wallace, you know the name, famed NASCAR car driver, but I wanted to talk to him more about just the athlete of it all. NASCAR drivers are athletes, and so I'm an athlete. Do we have any commonalities on how we train, the thought process? Spoiler alert, yes, we do. I talked to Bubba about an array of things because sometimes people don't realize this. You guys may not realize there's sarcasm font in there, but it's kind of hard being famous or dealing with things that come along with it. So I talked to him about just how does he handle things? How does he stay locked in? What motivates Bubba Wallace? Listen now, let's go. Appreciate you having me on here. Let me just tell everybody, this man is known as the most driven and focused drivers, one of the most driven and focused drivers in NASCAR Cup Series. The man is Bubba Wallace. Welcome to Montgomery Company, Bubba.
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. So listen, you are a driver that has exceeded and on multiple levels. And one of those places that you did was you won first in the Cup Series race at Talladega Super Speedway in 2021. Yep. There's another race coming up this weekend. So I'm curious, does that help you? Is there an advantage to the fact that you kind of felt what it feels like to not only be on that track, but to have won there?
Yeah, I would say so. But that was 2021, and cars are different now. We went through a whole new rules package change for the sanctioning body. The whole sport changed last year, so it's kind of been total different racing. And so it's definitely taken a little bit to get used to winning on a speedway race again. But all in all, we're excited to get to Talladega again this weekend and lock in our first win of the season. That'd be great.
Yeah, you talked about those changes. Like, for people that don't know, I mean, a lot of people right now talk about, if it's football, they're talking about turf as opposed to regular grass. And in women's sports, it's player lifestyle. What are kind of those things that for athletes in racing that you guys are fighting for or looking forward to elevating?
Yeah, I think for us is, like I said, this car is so new that we're still figuring out the ins and outs and how to make it work and trying to create better racing and more passing. And it's super hard. You think, with the faster car that you would just go up and blaze through the field if you're stuck in the back, but that's not the case. There's so much more that goes to it. And the aerodynamics of everything really makes it a challenge. So trying to get where a tire grip feels suitable for each track. It's a process. It's a challenge. So, I think there's a lot more smarter people out there that can figure that out. I just do my best to give them the best feedback.
No, that's dope. And so you're with, iconic is the only word I can think of. You're number 23, driving 23 for MJ. What is it like? Does that add extra pressure knowing his mentality, and what is y'all's relationship like? Because this is like two people consider the GOAT.
Yeah. The relationship is actually really, really cool. Just to be able to text him whenever and talk about whatever is it's actually really cool and really fun. But as far as pressure, no, I don't see it. The 23 had been in the sport for many years before we brought it on as a team. So I know the number 23, you think of Michael Jordan for sure. But for me, I think, the pressure all comes from within. I've raced for Richard Petty before this, so there's a lot of pressure there that people would say, but it feels the same as far as the pressure levels from each team.
Yeah, so speaking on MJ, he likes golf, and I hear that you like golfing as well. Ray Allen tells me all the time, like, people that used to shoot in basketball, he thinks it translates straight over to golf. But what are your thoughts on golf and the cross? Like, would you ever play in the tournament? What is it called? Where where they the match? Is it called the match?
Oh, the match, yeah.
Yeah,
the match.
Would you ever play in it? Because you like golfing, right?
I have to be a lot better to get previewed on the match. That's for sure. So I got a lot of work to do. But I love golf. We have a group of us that play, try to get out, once a week, if not once every other week. But it's fun. A buddy of mine, he just built one. He built a sim in his house. So we go over there and have some tournaments. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Who would you want to be your partner if you hypothetically ever did get in the match? Who would you want to be matched at, like your partner that you was with?
I think it would be Man, that's tough. Obviously, I'm gonna go Tiger as my first one. That would be sick, right?
Iconic.
Man, I don't know. I think that's tough. Who would have a good time? I feel like Mickelson will be a good time.
Yeah, I feel like you guys would cut up. Like
Yeah,
people would follow you guys whole around if it was
yeah,
if it was you
yeah,
two.
for sure, for sure.
No, that's crazy. And when I think about, like I love talking to other athletes
Yep,
because there's a certain mentality that I think we all have when it comes to that grind and
yep,
being in the thick of it all the time. And so for me, like there was different things. Like I'm from West Virginia, so that was one of the drives for me that like I'm gonna make it out and then I'm gonna put.
yep.
But what's like that year after year motivation that keeps someone like you locked in where you've won already? You've reached the highest level of success in some races. What keeps you locked in and motivated?
Well, aside from the contract that you got to show up for another 2 years,
You better get your money.
yeah, right. I think I love my job. I love my life, and I love what we're able to do. Traveling all over the country and going out and competing. As many rough days that you have, whether it's on the court or on the racetrack, every game is a new opportunity. And so, no matter how tough the tough gets, then it's like a fresh reset. And it's like, man, one of us is going to win today. So that's what I live for.
I love that. And you talked about like every day is a fresh start. And I think about like when there's athletes that are pretty much like some athletes are going to be outspoken because they're just
Yep.
speaking their truth. And you're one
Yep.
of those people. I think about, a Draymond Green. He's outspoken as well. I told you I'm in the sports world. So did
Yeah.
you think it was do you think the suspension, disagree or not disagree with the suspension?
So actually, I've been off social media and I hadn't even been on TV, but I heard that he stepped on a guy's chest.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a little much. That's a
But let
little
me tell
much.
you some context. What if somebody grabbed
Okay.
his foot and then he stomped on it? Does that
Uh,
change your perception at all? He still stomped, but someone grabbed the foot and then he was like, get off of me, stomped. I always like to hear, because
yeah,
there's
yeah.
different things in different sports.
Who pulled his foot?
The Sabonis. So they had been battling all game,
Yeah, yeah.
like, and so you haven't even really been checking out the playoffs. Huh? You're like locked in on you got you got your stuff
I've been
going on.
so focused. Hey, look, this last month we're trying to get this ship turned around,
Yeah.
and I've been so locked in on trying to get the physical self better that I seen something pop up on like Apple News pops up on your phone, and it's like game two, Steph Curry. I'm like, oh damn, playoffs. We're in the playoffs now. I need to turn the TV on. Yeah, so this is usually when I turn the TV on, and I've just been behind because I'm focusing on my craft, but I'll turn it on.
Well, speaking of your craft, you're kind of like, first of all, let me tell you, you need to talk nice to you because I've watched some of your interviews and you're like your own like worst critic in the
Yeah,
world. But so first
yeah,
of all, talk nice to you because I know what that's like. But you said you're trying to turn the ship around this past
yeah.
month. What has that been like for the group?
For me, it's like you said, I'm super hard on myself and want to go out and just I don't winning every race is the undoable. You can't
Right.
do that. And so it's not me chasing something that's unreachable. It's just me getting consistent, showing like, hey, we're a front running team, and I've done some research and I've seen that every 6 races in my 6 years of Cup, the first 7 or 8 races, sorry, have all been around the same average finish. And it's just like, man, I've tried different things. 2018, I was a rookie. 6 years in, I feel like I know what I'm doing, and it's still the same average finish. And it's nothing to brag about. And so, that's the frustrating part to me is because we're putting in the work. The team and I are working really well together. I feel like I'm putting in the work. And, it was that final wreck in Coda. And I said what I said. And my mom had texted me. My mom and dad had texted me. My dad was like, hey, you need to stop being so hard on yourself. And
Thank you.
yeah, easier said than done. But my mom said, hey, if you want something to change, then you got to change yourself. And I've heard that before. I've heard that many times. But for some reason, I couldn't close the phone out without reading that over and over and over again. Right.
Yeah.
And so I get home at 11 o'clock at night from the race, and I go straight to the gym. which is right out in my backyard in my garage. I go to the gym for an hour, and I've been working out. I've been working out 3 days a week ever since then. And you might be like, all right, well, I haven't worked out in over probably 2 years. So I kind of enjoy working out. I don't want to speak too soon. I enjoy working out now, but before, I was tired going into it. I was tired leaving it. Didn't feel better. Like, I was like, this is a waste of time, and I didn't see anything out of it. And so it was, it took me probably 4 days after that race, and I was in the gym, and I was like, man, I actually feel better. And it was like, okay, so I've been working out. I've been eating better, trying to cut a little bit of weight. So working on physical self and mental self has definitely helped out, and we've been finishing better. So
Man, that is awesome because with racing, like you might not equate, like this is something that I've done my whole career because in
yep,
sports, that's what you do. But people might not even equate that to racing, the physicality of getting your body in a certain shape to be,
yep,
because a lot of people might think, look, I can drive a car like, in
yep,
any shape, but there
yep.
is a physical component there when you're driving, which
Yeah,
is
for sure.
interesting.
It's tough because, for years, um, I'd say when things, well, I guess 2017, I was pretty cut up and ripped. I was doing 2 days back in high school, like just doing it by myself, and then I got burnt out, and I was like, okay, well then I was racing so much throughout the year because you can go race other series and do other stuff, and that kept you in shape, right? Well,
Right.
then 2017, where sponsorship slowed down, I was out of a ride, life slowed down. I started to add on some weight, and then it seemed like 1 or 2 pounds would gain a year, and it just barely. And you're like, man. And so then this year, I'm confident that we're gonna have a great year, and it was actually, I'm like, man, I'm the most out of shape that I've been, and I've had back problems after almost every race. And I just go see a physical therapist, and they're like, yeah, if you work out, it'd be better. And I'm like, haha, good one. And it's like actually like doing core workouts and back, strengthening up your back muscles. It's like I got out after one race, actually this past weekend, and I text my physical therapist. I was like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. And I was dying at that time.
They was
And
like, let's go when you said,
yeah,
I'll
and
see you
then
tomorrow.
an hour later, I was like, oh, I'm fine. And she was like, working out is a magical thing. And I'm like, nah, I'm not blaming it on me.
That's crazy. And
Yeah,
so I also wanted, like, I mean, I love hearing that because people, they see the races and a lot of times they don't see all the things that athletes
yeah,
do to either, even if they miss the shot in the game or not win a race. It's like, look at the hours and time that athletes put in. Speaking
yeah,
of time that you put in, you have the Dr. Pepper tuition program, has
yeah.
23 students. I'll let you tell more about it, but I think it's really dope. And just tell us, like, what is the Dr. Pepper tuition program and why are you doing it?
Yeah. So we got 23 students, going to give $5,000 scholarships, um, to to them, excuse me, and it gives them a chance to join our world, our crazy world, our hectic world of motorsports, and get the exposure levels, and maybe try something that you maybe never thought see yourself doing. From whether that's front office, from whether it's mechanics or travel side of things, the finance side of things, whatever. I think my photographer actually came from that program, so he entered into that program. So it's actually pretty cool to see the talents and the personalities that come out of that. But really cool for our team to be giving back to the community along with Dr. Pepper. And as much as we don't want to, we hate to say, but we're getting older every day. There's someone coming up behind us to replace us, and so for us to be able to kind of shape and mold the future, then so be it. So it's a pretty cool initiative to be a part of.
No, it's beautiful, and I know a lot of those kids have to look at you as a role model, which it's kind of
Mhm.
like, how old are you? Because I'm only
29.
36. Oh, so you're 29, so you're even younger. So it's got to be crazy when kids are like, I look up to you. You're a role model, and even in
Hmm.
2020, you became known for your activism on racial justice in response to the murder of George Floyd. It's kind of similar to me in a sense of, a situation happened that propelled us into this role, and so how do you balance those dynamics of you're Bubba Wallace, which I'm sure you're lighthearted and playful all the
Yeah.
time. And then there's topics, that you talk on and balancing that and balancing it with the professionalism of the sport, and all of those things combined, because we're kind of in a similar situation.
Yeah, for sure. I think, there's a time and place for every conversation. And I've always said it. People probably that are around me get tired of me saying it, but the best conversation is natural conversation. And so, like us, chopping it up today, right now, is kind of a natural conversation. You don't feel very scripted. And when the tough topics come about, then it's like, all right, it's okay to dive into that. But there's a time and place for it. When you're at the racetrack trying to focus on racing and you get brought up, you're like, whoa, you're not really focused on that. But I think trying to move the needle forward for a better place for our generation, future generations to come is super important. And I just read something on my phone on the news there that a basketball rolled into somebody's neighbor's yard, and they shot back, and like, what are we, a basketball rolling into your yard? Like, holy cow. And so we have a lot of work to do as human beings. And it's not just one specific group. Doesn't matter what color you are, what side you choose, blue or red. It's just being better people, right?
Human race. Yeah.
It's humans. And so I think just trying to be better on that. And it seems like you and I are both decent human beings. Like, we don't have to be taught that. Like, you kind of know that as you grow up from being a kid and just having fun and enjoying life. And like,
literally,
I've always been curious, like, where did that switch in people's lives to go that route? I don't know. I get it. It's harder for others than some, but so, yeah.
No, I love that you said that, because I think about that a lot. Where did we lose the, like, it takes a village term, like, terms that we had where a kid goes knocking on a door, he's at the wrong door. You don't shoot the kid because he's at the wrong door. Like, it's like, where did that disconnect happen to where that trust was lost, or different things of that nature? So, no, I just understand that, you are one of those people that speak out. And so I wanted to, and if you ever, we should collab on something at a certain point, because we both are kind of, in the same space. But last thing I wanted to ask you is just, are there certain races you look forward to? Like, is there a favorite track? Like, for me, I felt like I had good games in certain gyms. Atlanta was one of them. So I loved coming to Atlanta when I came. But are there certain tracks or anything that you look forward to?
Yeah, I think, last weekend was probably my favorite racetrack, just because I've had two truck wins there back in the day. That's kind of where my name got kind of put on the map at Martinsville. And then obviously Talladega this weekend, got my first Cup win there. So that's exciting. Where do we go next? Dover's a really fun track. Kansas right after that. Kansas, I got my last one at in September of last year. So just to name those, I mean, those are some pretty good tracks for us coming up. So for sure, I have tracks that I circle and highlight and want to run well at. And then there's others that I underline, like, we got to be better at these places. So you get a whole mix.
Well, listen, I'm gonna tell you as I leave out of here, Bubba, talk nice to you, okay? And we're gonna be watching, we're gonna be supporting you. Man, I'm a fan. I appreciate you coming on and joining Montgomery Co.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. Thank you.
I keep on thinking about the match and how he said that he would like to tag team with Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson. And I know if you guys listened yesterday, I talked about greatness and what it looks like, what it feels like. Bubba Wallace, along with other people, we're all chasing greatness. Like, he's chasing greatness when it comes to racing and NASCAR. But it's hard for athletes to go to another sport because we're so used to trying to be great at what we do that we don't even know how to be bad at stuff. Like, look at how Bubba reacted when I talked about golf. He's like, oh, no, I'm terrible. That's how I am, too. I don't even want to start playing golf because I feel like I'm not going to be good at it. And then who wants to do something they're not good at? I digress. I won't see you guys next week, but it's still a generational thing.